Today, we'll be going through some of the most noticeable Brawl talks. I'll bring back memories from the good old times, and I'd like to know which update you thought was the best one yet. I'll take you back to memory lane. Let's start off with the very first Brawl talk. Well, the first one I found anyway. On November 30th, 2018, the first ever Brawl talk was released, marking where it all started. This was quite a small Brawl talk of 2.5 minutes, and Ryan looked hella young then. In this video, they announced the global release of BrawlStars, along with the release of Leon. Even though it was a pretty short Brawl talk, it was the most important one ever because the global release meant everyone around the world could finally enjoy this game. It's now June 25th, 2019. They released their 6th Brawl talk. I can still remember the summer of then. It was sunny and warm, and BrawlStars released a banger of a Brawl talk. In this Brawl talk, they announced the release of Tick, but that wasn't really exciting. They also announced the release of second star powers and the old new currency, Star Points. To be frank with you, this was probably one of the only updates that had me hyped for BrawlStars, because I don't think new players will understand how huge of a deal second star powers were. This Brawl talk is by far my most favorite Brawl talk ever. It's now September 15th, 2019. They released their 8th Brawl talk. Well, to be honest, I didn't think this was a really big update, but I still wanted to mention it because in this Brawl talk, they announced the release of Sandy and the release of not one, but 2 new game modes, Lone Star and Takedown. One of the game modes I hate with a pure passion because it was impossible to grind for me then. But I still thought it was worth mentioning because in the old times, it was a pretty big deal that there were 2 temporary game modes added for tryout, and no surprise, they didn't make it. It's November 21st, 2019, the 10th Brawl talk. This also isn't a big Brawl talk, but I thought it was still worth mentioning because I thought it was a pretty memorable time. In this update, they announced the partnership with Line Friends. In my opinion, this was one of the few Brawl talks in the old days that actually released good skins. I mean, look at Primo. Only the skins themselves got me hyped for this update. It's March 14th, 2020, the 13th Brawl talk. In this Brawl talk, they announced Jackie, as well as a new mechanic, gadgets,
they'll unlock at power level 7, and you can find them in boxes and in the shop. They're a bit more common than...
and the underdog system to BrawlStars. To be fair, in the old days, this hyped me up because they released gadgets and the underdog system. However, in the old days, the underdog system was really shitty. I barely got any underdogs, so yeah, I'm biased, but still, it sucked. This update was one of the biggest updates in the old days. To be fair, Jackie was absolutely busted in the old days. She had a shield for no apparent reason. It's May 9th, 2020, the 14th Brawl talk. This Brawl talk wasn't really a big update, but it had huge changes to BrawlStars. In this Brawl talk, they announced the release of the Brawl Pass, which was, in my opinion, a big change, and I didn't really like the change, but now I'm used to it. In that Brawl talk, they also announced a new rarity, Chromatic Rarity, and the first Chromatic Brawler was Gale. It's March 6, 2021, the 20th Brawl talk. In this Brawl talk, they announced the removal of Power Play and the upcoming Power League. They also announced the new brawler, Stu, for this season. Additionally, they added some skins, as they usually do in all seasons, so no real surprise there. To be honest, this was quite an important update because of Power League, but also a bad update because of Power League. It's not surprising now, but Power League sucked so much that they changed it to Ranked. It's April 3rd, 2021, the 21st Brawl talk. In this Brawl talk, they announced the new temporary game mode, Knockout, which later became a permanent game mode, which I personally love. They also announced the new brawlers Bell and Squeak. Additionally, they announced fast forward and rewind replays. Lastly but not least, Ryan announced that this Brawl Talk would be his last one.
It's with a heavy heart that I announce that this will be my last Brawl Talk. I've taken a new role at Supercell as the community lead overseeing all games.
However, he does sometimes just pop up in other Brawl Talks, but not as a presenter anymore. It's February 26, 2022, the 22nd Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of Eve along with 2 new game modes, Wipeout and Payload. However, Payload wasn't really a new game mode. The permanency of both game modes would depend on their performance. We already know which game mode survived. It's November 13, 2021, the 26th Brawl Talk. This Brawl Talk was one of the bigger updates. In this Brawl Talk, they announced a lot of new things. They announced the release of Club League and Gears, and with the release of these 2 came 3 new currencies. Well, definitely 2. I don't know if you can call the third a currency. They added club coins, scrap, and gear tokens. To be honest about this update, I think it was a pretty good update. However, the way they designed gear made it look pay to win. But happily, they changed that into the gears we know today. It's April 23, 2022, the 29th Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of Janet with Bonnie, which completed the stunt show trio with Stu. They also announced a new game mode, Bot Drop, which flopped. I remember playing it and totally getting wrecked, so yeah, I'm pretty happy they removed it. They also announced the release of sprays, bans in Power League, and a Brawl Ball map tile called Bumpers. It's August 27, 2022, the 31st Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of Gus and the release of Sam. They also announced a temporary PvE game mode. Additionally, they announced the removal of scrap and gear tokens, which they confirmed the release of in a different Brawl Talk. In the small goal roads, they talked about the fact that they would like to change the luck-based system in BrawlStars.
There are a few bigger topics we would like to tackle. And the first one is affecting the current progression system and its reliance on luck, in order to unlock brawlers. We would like you to have more say in which brawlers you unlock and when, as well as which brawlers you would like to upgrade. These changes have a huge impact on how Brawl is played, and will give every player a clear goal in the game.
The result of which we already know, removing the boxes and adding credits, which were implemented further down the road. It's December 7th, 2022, the 33rd Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced 3 new brawlers, Mandy, Chester, and Gray. In this Brawl Talk, Frank announced that in this update, they would remove boxes. With the removal of boxes, they introduced a new reward track called the Star Road. You can progress in the Star Road by collecting the new currency, credits. By adding the Star Road, they removed the brawlers from the Trophy Road and assigned a rarity for each brawler. They didn't add only credits, but also chroma credits, which could be used to buy chromatic brawlers. They also announced the new feature, Fame, which we already know. When you have all brawlers unlocked, your credits go to Fame. It's February 23rd, 2023, the 34th Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of RT and Willow. They also announced a new battle start screen and a mastery track for all the brawlers. With Mastery, they added some special pins, player icons, and titles. They also declared that Duels and Basket Brawl became permanent game modes. It's April 23, 2023, the 35th Brawl Talk. In this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of Hank and Maisie, which completed the cinema trio with Buster and Fang. They also announced skin rarity. The rarity of the skins ranges from rare to legendary skins. They also added a new currency, which we now know as Bling. With the addition of Bling, the downfall of star points started. You could buy skins for star points before the update released, but after the update, star point became the past currency. They also changed up the Trophy League a bit. The Trophy League now lasts 2 weeks and only resets your top 20 brawlers. They also added game highlights and stats to the end screen, which I personally find really helpful because then I know which one of my bad randoms was actually bad, and maybe review my own gameplay without having to look at gameplay. They also changed up Power League a bit. The Power League rewards you immediately. They also added one extra condition to Bounty, which is which team reaches 20 stars first wins. They also temporarily added Volley Brawl back and a new showdown variation, Ultimate Showdown, which I personally really miss because in my opinion, it was a lot of fun. It's 2 September 2023. The 37th Brawltalk. In this Brawltalk, there was a new community manager, Marzio, who replaced Paula. She announced her transfer to another Supercell game in the previous Brawltalk, which I didn't mention because the update itself wasn't big, but Paula not being the community manager is so, I decided to still mention it. With the new community manager, Marzio came in an intro a peculiar hypercharge symbol. I tried to find this specific hypercharge, but it isn't released yet, so I think it is a little sneak peek for Kit, but it is open for interpretation. Anyway, on to the Brawltalk itself. In this Brawltalk, they announced the release of Pearl and Chuck. They also announced the change to Power LVLs, which made the power change per LVL bigger from 5% to 10%. In this Brawltalk, they also announced Hypercharge, which added a little bit more depth in gameplay. The first brawlers who got hypercharges are Shelly, Colt, Bull, Jackie, Spike, and Pearl. In this update, they also added Siege back for a short while. This wraps this Brawltalk up onto the next one. It's December 9th, 2023, the 39th Brawltalk. In this Brawltalk, they announced not one, not two, but three new brawlers. The first one is Miko, who completes the Brawlywood trio. The second brawler is Kit, who, to be honest, in his release was too good. Lastly, but not least, Larry and Lori, who had a too damn long range in their release. They also announced the long-awaited 5v5 game modes, which are played vertically. In this update, they changed up the Brawl Pass a bit, which you already know. It costs money instead of gems and added Brawl Pass Plus. This was kind of a big punch for free-to-play players, but sometimes you just take an L. Lastly, they gave Fang, Leon, Crow, Miko, Edgar, and Dynamite hypercharges. Before going on to the next Brawltalk, I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate the crazy skins they made this season. It's February 24th, 2024, the 40th Brawltalk. In this Brawltalk, they announced the release of Melody and Angelo, who I hate with a passion. In this update, we also got 6 new hypercharges again, now for Cordelius, Primo, Buzz, Belle, Sprout, and BB. They also announced a collaboration with Line and Friends again, and the skins didn't disappoint. With the addition of Line and Friends, they also added a skin group inspired by northern mythological beings, the Ragnarok skins. Not only were these skins announced, but they also announced Poop Spike and a baby shark Coco Melon-looking Primo skin. In this update, they wanted to try out a new game mode called Trophy Escape. With new things sometimes ends an old thing. In this case, Power League was replaced by Ranked, which is basically Power League but with more depth. It became more playable, has modifiers, and allows players to report others for being bad, which I sometimes overuse. Lastly, they added a new star drop, the Ranked Star Drop, which only drops bling or ranked cosmetics from the game. On April 20th, 2024, the 41st Brawltalk was released, the newest Brawltalk of them all. This is probably the biggest BrawlStars update yet. Let's dive into it. Let's start off with the introduction of the new community manager, Drew.
I'm Drew, by the way, the new community manager. Nice to meet you. If you're not in a club, Join a club.
Cause I don't wanna live a lie, lie, lie. So tell my boyfriend what I've been doing. Been thinking of you. Hey, tell my screwfriend. And if you want me, you gotta put the word. Go tell your girlfriend.
Anyway, in this Brawl Talk, they announced the release of 2 brawlers, Lily and Draco, and also added 6 new hypercharges again. This time, Brock, Sandy, Nita, Max, Tick, and Jean were bestowed greater power, although Jean and Brock got the shorter ends of the stick with their hypercharges. Now, again, they released some pretty crazy skins, which I'm just going to show. And lastly, but not least, the Godzilla event. Only this season, you'll be able to get monster eggs. These are quite similar to star drops, but in these drops you can also unlock legendary skins, hypercharged skins, and mutations. Mutations are an upgraded version of a brawler, but some mutations are better than others. The hypercharged skins are special skins in which the brawler changes into his hypercharged form. They also added a temporary game mode, Godzilla City Smash. This wraps up all the big Brawl talks. I hope you liked the video.